Let's start and let's talk about what's going on in Ukraine tonight. So, sitting U.S. Senator Angus King, that's a name, Angus. Mm-hmm. He spent about 48 hours in Ukraine, and now he knows everything that you need to know about Ukraine. According to him, Ukraine, and according to his congressional delegation, Ukraine is winning this war. According to him, Vladimir Zelensky, his words, by the way, was one of the most inspiring men he's ever met and ever seen in his entire lifetime. Okay. And according to him, Ukraine has an accounting of every weapon and every dollar, right down to the spare parts that we're sending them. So they know where everything that we're sending them is going. It's being tracked. They've got a spreadsheet. It's all being tracked. But he didn't stop there. I mean, once again, members of the United States Congress are openly saying that the only way this war ends is with Putin removed from office. Regime change. So this is the only way we're getting through this.
I mean, that's dangerous rhetoric, but I guess we have to up the rhetoric in case we sort of hit peak Zelensky.
Well, yeah, because if he's done, and which is likely going to happen, who are they going to put in place? So they're going to just continue this onslaught and eventually...
Right. No matter his fate, though, is there a point where people in the West hit peak Zelensky and just don't want to see him anymore, don't want to hear this any longer? We have to continue to raise the rhetoric in order to continue to have people support this war, which we've seen poll after poll, that support is waning.
Well, maybe Zelensky needs to do more award show presentations in order to raise that number up more. I don't know. So here's Senator Angus King just led this delegation to meet with Zelensky in Ukraine and returned over the weekend to talk about it. Here he is yesterday at a town hall explaining how Putin needs to be removed in order for this war to end. That's the only option. That's the only way the United States is going to stop funding this thing. Watch.
Earlier, there was sort of some questioning of U.S. involvement at home in the Ukraine conflict. How long should we remain there?
Well, I'd hate to set a date and say, 6 months or a year. That's telling Putin, all he's got to do is hold his breath until that date comes. So I believe we should remain there until Putin is out. And that I don't see this as a long 20-year struggle, which we saw in Afghanistan.
Oh, good. I don't see it as a 20-year struggle, but I'm certainly not going to say a year.
We have a strong government, a strong armed services that are fighting on their own with our help, but they're the people that are dying. They're the people that are on the front lines. And I think
and that's a good thing. Like, that's what he's basically saying. He's like, we should just point out here that it's the Ukrainians that are dying. Like, they're the ones being killed.
This is an acceptable sacrifice to me.
Right. Like, I love, I have my nice little office here with all my nice books. I have my Alexander Hamilton book up here on my shelf. Like, I care about democracy is what he's telling us by these books on his shelf, right? And we love democracy. And we should just point out that the people that are dying, that are getting killed, they're just Ukrainians. It's just Ukrainians. So don't worry about it. I know you're an American reporter asking me this question. We don't need to worry about this.
It is safely far from self, basically.
Right. So here he is.
Putin's main strategy right now is to split us.
Okay. Please tell all of us about Putin's military strategy, Angus King.
Is to split the U.S. Congress, to undermine support here, to split NATO, to undermine support from the Western countries. That's his last gasp. That's his last chance.
He's losing. I mean, he is absolutely losing. This is his last gasp.
Military strategy.
Right.
He can't win this war now.
Yeah, he can't win this war. It's unwinnable for Putin.
Circumstances between the will to fight of the Ukrainian people and the arms and material and support, humanitarian support that we're providing. When I say we, I mean the West. He can't win. So
yeah, he can't win. It's over. I mean, it is over for Putin. He can't win. Ukraine is winning the hearts and minds of the world, and because of all the material that we're sending. But I just love to hear a U.S. congressman tell us what Putin's military strategy is.
In terms of propaganda, right? But that's an old favorite too. you can put that hit on and keep spinning it, Putin's propaganda. I saw a media study this morning, which was in the newsletter, if you're reading your newsletter, that showed that media analysts were not able to prove that Russian bots were able to influence any voters in 2016.
In America.
In the U.S., yeah, right. During the presidential election.
Oh, you can't say that out loud. What is Rachel Maddow going to do?
Well, we're talking about 2016, and basically anyone who was exposed to any Russian propaganda, there is no evidence that it may have swayed their votes, and that it was mostly America doing it to itself. All of the sort of crazed voters who didn't know what to do, like Russia, according to media analysts, which again you can find in the newsletter, they didn't need to do much. They didn't have much effect on the election.
Oh, so Hillary Clinton was lying then.
And so this idea that this is just another one we can just keep spinning out because people believe that Russia wants you to believe something other than what the media, the mainstream media wants you. So these are the divides, right? Mainstream media benevolent, Putin malevolent, and these are fighting forces inside your head is what they want us to tell you. And anytime you question mainstream media narrative, you're going towards Putin's side.
Billy Jack in our Rumble chat says, yeah, a couple of lame memes would have changed the election. Yeah. Like, you know what? I was going to vote for Hillary Clinton, but then I saw a funny meme on Facebook, and therefore then I voted for Trump.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it works.
Well, you wouldn't have seen it on Twitter because they banned memes on Twitter.
And Twitter itself, we reported last week, was not able to find this, despite reports from the U.S. Congress saying this is happening. Even Twitter went looking for it because it was trying to be a good little doggy when the U.S. government asked for it, and they could not. And Senator Mark Warner, was it? Mm-hmm. Mark Warner, then started to attack.
Well, remember, we were told. Several intelligence agencies found proof. We were told.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all a Russian disinformation campaign. So you can't take the fact that Hillary lost. I mean, come on. So that's the senator. That's one piece of what the senator had to say. My favorite part, though, of this speech is where a U.S. senator says that he's super confident that Ukraine is tracking every dollar, every spare part that we're sending them. He says, I really pushed Zelensky on this point. So you have nothing to worry about your tax dollars. Every penny is being tracked. How many of you actually believe that line? Let me know in the chat. So
and also, before you push play, I'm very curious to see if he asks for an accounting of that FTX money. So go ahead. Let's see about that.
Let's see if he answers that. Go ahead, Senator. Take it away.
Good morning, Senator. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I caught you on Face the Nation yesterday talking a little bit about this and was just hoping to follow up on something that Margaret Brennan had asked you about regarding accountability for the funding that we are sending to Ukraine. And I know you had a conversation with Vladimir Zelensky about that. Can you just talk a little bit about the process of making sure that they are accounting for every dollar that is being spent?
Well, as I mentioned, I raised it with him, and basically what I said was, look, if there's a scandal, in fact, I used these words, I said, if there's a scandal involving the misuse of these resources, that will jeopardize any additional resources flowing. He understood that.
Oh, did he understand that because it's already frickin' happened? He would understand. He understood my English when I said scandal. He understood that word. And if that's going to happen.
But even there's wiggle room there. Like, if there's a scandal, we may slow up some of the support. We won't stop it. It's just going to be in jeopardy. So if we can't account for it, we think there's maybe a major financial scandal. That might be a problem. Not a big one. Little one.
Little one. Don't worry about it. Just it'll be a little scandal, and you'll have to answer for that.
Then, later on, we had a meeting with the Deputy Secretary of Defense and some of their technical people where we had a PowerPoint demonstrating the software. They're using SAP software, which I see advertised in airports. It's a data maintenance software. And they're also working with Deloitte, the worldwide accounting firm, to work out the process by which, and what we saw.
By the way, who's paying for the Deloitte accounting team to come in and audit this? Who? You and I are paying for this.
Deloitte is counting bullets and guns?
Yeah, Deloitte is being you. This is nice to know. I'm sure Deloitte wants the PR for this. So now Deloitte is on the hook. Now we've named names, right? Because now we can say that Deloitte, the accounting firm, is tracking everything. So if there is a scandal, who will we point to?
Okay,
And
cool.
it gets off our bet, you know.
Oh, they put up on the screen is spreadsheets with literally every spare part. And the question I asked is, okay, this is all very nice, but is anybody going out and actually physically taking inventory, counting what's there? And the answer is yes. And then we're doing the same thing.
And then he goes, oh, the answer is yes. Really? Who? Who is the team of people that is going into the field, going out to eastern Ukraine right now, going into Solidar, going into Bakhmut, going into these trenches, there's no one going out. Can I see your gun, please? I just want to see and track all of these weapons and these parts, and I just want to make sure everything is getting to the field. I'm here, I'm the accountant, I'm the Deloitte accountant for Ukraine, and I want to see all of these things. Can you please? No one is doing that. I mean, really? I don't buy that for a hairy second.
But he says he saw spreadsheets.
He saw a spreadsheet.
And you know what? I learned from the Bernie Madoff docuseries that we watched over the weekend that it's easy to make a spreadsheet about falsities.
Yeah,
Bernie Madoff did that a lot when people asked him, where's my money? Where's all this transaction? And he wrote fiction in terms of spreadsheets.
Yeah, he brings in Pickhour, who is one of his biggest investing buddies, and he's over his shoulder looking at it, and he's like, I gotta need to see more than that. Like, I can see you can show me a transaction on a piece of paper. I need to see more than that.
I need full ledgers. And he's like, got it.
Got a fake spreadsheet right here that you can take a look at.
It was the great American novel on a dot matrix.
So,
well, and what percentage of equipment did they say actually makes it to Ukraine? So are they only counting what actually makes it? You know what I mean?
Question.
So the percentage that's lost everywhere else, like, well, we don't know about that. Like, that doesn't count there. They're accounting for the 30% they're getting. Come on.
Yeah. Let me see here. So let me see, Zelensky. We sent you 100 tanks last month. Now we noticed that only about 10 of them actually arrived here in Ukraine. The other 90 have been sold on the black market. Now
wasn't signed for. It's not our responsibility.
Of those 10 that did arrive, have you been able to catalog? We're going to ask our Deloitte person where those tanks are in the field. Do you guys have a counting of that? Well, they told me yes. Oh, good. So Americans, just rest easy. I know you can't pay for heating oil right now. That's fine. You can't pay your electric bills. You can't pay your rent. There's grocery store shelves empty. You can't get medicines right now. Can't get children's Motrin. I mean, the list is endless right now. But don't worry, we got it under control.
They should send the greeters from Walmart. Just send them out there, and they can check all the receipts as people are walking around.
That's a good idea.
And put a little happy smiley face on it with a little yellow happy face.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, like the stickers that they give babies and stuff.
So, you got to check your gun right here. Let me just a little smiley face right on your receipt, your tank receipt. So overnight, Russia took control of the key mining town of Solidar, which had a vast underground tunnel system. You can see some of the video. This was seen as a crucial area to getting access to the area of Bakhmut, and what a lot of the thermobaric weapons, bombs, which have been devastating, they've been using. So nothing can hide from these trenches. Nothing. Russia has been just merciless in using these thermobaric weapons on these targets. You can see some of these bombs in action. You can just see just look at the reverberations of after these things hit, the shock waves of these things hitting. So it's just crazy. Absolutely brutal. Former CIA analyst Larry Johnson has been calling total BS on the Western media's fake news narrative that Ukraine is winning this war. He's been cataloging it daily. He wrote a devastating article this morning showing just how bad things are going for Ukraine. I spoke to him just a short time ago. Listen. Larry, welcome back to the show. So your piece was really interesting this morning because when you hear Senator Angus King talk there just a few moments ago, he's telling us that Ukraine is winning, Russia's losing, and that the only way for this war to end, the United States to not have an involvement anymore, is for Putin to be taken down, regime change. But you're reporting on this, and the advancements of the Russian forces seem at polar opposites to what the United States senator is talking about. What is he talking about?
Yeah, no, it's just the facts on the ground belie it. Even CNN, who has been one of the cheerleaders for the Russia is losing meme, came out with an interview of a soldier on the front line who said they're just stacking bodies and they can't even remove the bodies. They're dead everywhere. And that's not dead Russians. Those are dead Ukrainians. Russia is not adopting World War II tactics where they would have massive human wave attacks against entrenched German positions. They've gotten smarter. They are using thermobaric warheads off of the TOS system. They are using artillery. They're using other missiles and rockets. They're saturating the area, and it's making it impossible for any Ukrainian to stay above ground. So these are facts, and yet the West completely ignores them. And I know firsthand from a friend of mine who's an intelligence officer in a particular military command that, in fact, the Defense Intelligence Agency, when they're briefing on casualties that Ukraine is suffering and casualties that Russia is supposedly suffering, it is coming entirely from Ukraine. The Ukrainian officials are telling us, we killed 10,000 of them, and that's what's being reported in military channels. I mean, it's absurd. It's nonsensical.
And so we're seeing, of course, this major advancement from the Russians. We're seeing NATO stepping up, sending additional heavy weapons, Bradley fighting vehicles, all sorts of additional weapons in this latest tranche. The Biden White House announcing the largest yet shipment. And to hear Senator King say it in his interview, he says, well, we're really tracking every spare part that comes through. They're using Deloitte as an accounting firm, and they're managing it through the software. And I was really convinced that they are tracking every spare part. And he said, that was great that they're tracking these spare parts. Do they have anyone going out into the field and actually confirming that that spare part is being used? And he said, the answer I got back was yes. It sounds like they're just spinning him a whole pile of garbage here. What does your intelligence sourcing tell you about the tracking of American weapons and munitions going into this zone? Is it being tracked accurately?
Yeah, no, it's not. And the reality is these weapons, they keep saying we're going to send more weapons, more vehicles, more armaments, more ammunition. Yeah, eventually we will. The reality is we don't have it. We don't have these warehouses bursting to the seams with extra vehicles and extra artillery shells. So they're having to commission them to ask them to be made. And the problem is the U.S. industrial capability is basically not what it once was. So they're looking at months, possibly a year or more. The reality, before some of this equipment is ever delivered, I don't think Ukraine will exist in its current form. So we got a lot of political theater with respect to saying, it is true, they're appropriating the money, they're obligating the funds, but in many cases, that's being spent here in the United States on military industrial companies. And it's not like going out to Walmart, filling your cart with some artillery shells and then shipping them over.
And if that wasn't enough, I mean, last night Zelensky made an appearance at the Golden Globes. So as you heard Larry, they're just talking about these, the Ukrainians are being used as cannon fodder, but it doesn't stop Volodymyr Zelensky from going out and doing like award shows and award presentations. And so he shows up at the Golden Globes last night. And it was to ask for more money, by the way. It was one of the cringiest things that I've seen in a long time. Watch this. Sean Penn introducing him.
If the freedom to dream were a spear, I proudly present a human being who tonight represents that spear's most honed tip.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants of the 80th Golden Globe Award ceremony, the award was won at a special time. The Second World War wasn't over yet, but the tide was turned. All knew who would win. There were still battles and tears ahead. It was then when the Golden Globe Award appeared to honor best performers of 1943. It is now 2023. The war in Ukraine is not over yet, but the tide is turning, and it is already clear who will win.
Yeah, it's really clear who will win. I mean, you're literally watching theater there. We know who's going to win.
Yeah, and I don't think that spear is a very good analogy. I didn't really.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to follow it.
No.
I didn't like that writing.
I can't follow anything that man says anymore.
If we're judging on performance and art and metaphor, that doesn't win the Golden Globe.
Yeah, he's the tip of the spear. He's the what of the spear?
He's just the tip. Right?
Yeah, that's right. He's just the tip. He just gave him the tip.
That's what he said. He's the tip of the spear.
That's right. So it is just the tip.
He called him just
the tip.
Well, and I just I cringed immediately when he first said his first word, because what is that voice? That is a forced thing, is it not? Like, have you heard him speak like that? Like when he was doing comedy, he sounded nothing like that.
But now I can definitely tell you who was the best in the previous year. It was you. It was you.
He sounds like that guard on the top of the castle in Monty Python. I fought in your general direction.
Yeah. Millie little wapao, I see you and I raise your. I fought in your general direction. We don't want it. We already have one. We don't want any more. The French guy. Anyway, and then on top of that, he is asking for more money, and he then went on to say that World War III is not here. It's not here. It's not coming. It's not here. No. We are already in World War III. Like, are you out of your freaking mind? Every NATO country is literally in Ukraine, arming Ukraine, using troops from NATO and attacking. Like, what more evidence do you need that we are in a freaking world war? Like,
I don't know.
Do you need someone to stand there and like stamp it and declare it like a war? Like, it's happening. It's happening right in front. The whole world is going into economic recession because we are in a world war right now.
No. But here's the thing that really bothers me so much about it, because of course, Ukraine should be pulling out all the stops to get what they need. If you're the center of Ukraine, and if somebody's willing to give you this platform, you can't fault Zelensky. You fault, just like the Will Smith slapgate, right? You fault people in the room who can't tell the difference between teaching other people to choose sides in war. And, just like everybody sort of laughed when Will Smith smacked Chris Rock on live TV, everyone there is like, yes, we take sides. Yes, we promote, war. Yeah. Yes, we like this. And you could hear when he was announced, there was this sort of tepid clapping, for instance, like we were at a children's event recently and there was some pro-Ukraine stuff. And I spoke to one of the organizers and I was like, children should not be taught to choose sides. And I feel this way about the Golden Globes, is that we should not teach audiences to choose sides in war. We are not the Pentagon. And so our cultural, ceremonies should be free of this, should be void of this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and then we keep dragging this guy out there and putting him up there. And he's a puppet of course, he's a puppet for the West.
Yeah.
So as soon as they have their next puppet, they're going to do the same thing with the next puppet. So he is a tool of the West.
But
He's
this is now the template. If we had somebody in previous wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, not just a bad guy, but what's so valuable for the Pentagon now is that we had bad guys in Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi and Afghanistan.
Hitler.
Okay, yes, I was thinking Osama bin Laden, thank you, was
You're thinking of your rogues gallery.
Yes, but we didn't have a good guy to juxtapose with the bad guy. Now we have it.
Right.
And look how powerful it is in the media. And we should reject this, because we should never want war to be simplified so that we can just easily take a side and then move on with our day.
Right. Peace now. Like, that's one, if we have one stand on this show, it's peace, right? So you that way Putin can stop attacking infrastructure and turn get the lights back on. People won't freeze this winter. Stop now, make these concessions, come to the settlement table. But instead, NATO doesn't want that. NATO doesn't want that, and the West doesn't want that. They want perpetual war in Ukraine, and all of these Western corporations like BlackRock that are buying up as much as they can right now because they want to own what is left of Ukraine. And that's what's happening. It's all about money, and it's all about power. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at Redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to Redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.